How's it going, guys? Little Regret 265 here, and today I'll be continuing my series on the GT Sport Ultimate Assist Guide. Now it's going to be exactly what it sounds like, a deep dive into how all the assists work on the game in full detail, and how they can be utilized to your benefit in order to lower your lap times, make your gameplay experience more enjoyable, and turn you into a better driver. So I'm writing this well before I can get any reception regarding the last video on traction control, but I can remember one of my common complaints from around 10 years ago.
I had traction control on, the car's still sliding everywhere.
I may not have said that to anyone's face, but believe me that a young Blake, little regret if you will, was thinking that. And while there are many potential solutions to that problem, not least of which being vehicle tuning, the quickest and easiest solution, and the reason that Gran Turismo 5 felt so different from Gran Turismo 4 to me, was and still is active stability management, widely known to GT players as ASM. This is going to be another one of those active assists, just like the last few episodes, and it works in a very similar way to traction control. The indicator light with a hazard symbol in the middle will still be white to indicate that it's armed, and the light will turn red when it's active. That's all the visual indication you get though, that's it! But if you're paying attention, and you've been driving without ASM up to this point, you will know when it comes on. It alters the attitude of the car to prevent understeer and oversteer and cornering by using the brakes in specific ways to counteract the car's slippery, slidey antics. In GT Sport, it should prevent any slide unless you really throw the car into the corner and attempt to induce it. Other than that, there's no variability to ASM, it's either on or it's off, you cannot adjust it during the race, and it really makes it feel like a whole new car. It's also not as sensitive to what type of car you are driving, and behaves very similarly across all vehicle types. Now there are going to be certain cars where ASM won't be enough to keep the car in line, especially with open wheelers and some of the more loose race cars. In particular, I'll show how the X2014 Junior, with an aggressive setup, loses the rear end even with ASM active. And that's fine. Normally if you lose grip suddenly or aggressively like that, it just means you need to be a little bit smoother with your inputs and you'll be good to go. On top of that, there's nothing to say that you can't use this assist alongside others. So the biggest tactical aid that I can see is one that is done in tandem. ASM is fine and well on its own, but when combined with traction control, a la the defaults on Gran Turismo 3 and 4, it becomes a quick fix for most grip issues that you'll find in most cars, that keeps the car facing forward 95% of the time. This takes elements of control that I spoke on last time and kicks it up to 11. You can afford to be a bit more laissez-faire with your steering, because the system will do its best to keep you from under or oversteering, and the worst that could happen is that you miss the turn or run wide. However, if you do run onto grass or gravel, expect the car to get loose. No amount of stability management can handle that if you don't ease up on your throttle and steering inputs. All in all though, it's fairly good at keeping you pointed the right way, and with a little help from the other active assists, it's almost like driving on air. Figuratively, not literally of course. It sounds frightening to drive on a cloud. It's some Mario Kart stuff now that I think about it. Unfortunately, while I've had all these great things to say about ASM and how wonderful it is, there is most certainly a catch. I hinted at it earlier, and it's the brakes. It presses the brakes. Now it's not a I'm going to clamp down all the way to keep you under control kind of braking, but it does kill quite a bit of speed if you're sloppy. So how does one overcome this? You could always not use it. Get good, as the kids say, but there's got to be another way. You'll find that the ASM is very picky with how it behaves and corrects on a car-by-car basis. If you learn to work with the ASM and its pickiness to keep it from intervening as often, generally, the faster you'll go, possibly even picking up some good habits on the way. This is much easier said than done though, because it's very easy to activate at high speeds, even if it doesn't scrub much speed from you. So if you try and keep it from flashing red too much by driving smoother and more carefully, especially through tight bends, it should save you some momentum, with the system ready to kick in when you really need it. I must warn you though that this is not a substitute for running without it, just a separate workaround for those who simply cannot do without ASM. There's not a whole lot to be said about active stability management, with its catch-all nature and straightforward approach, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that it's not available on sport mode races, with the exception of time trials. Other than that, thanks so much for making it to the end of this one. If it was informative or entertaining, don't be afraid to let me know down below. Make sure to check out other videos in the series. Stop by my Twitch streams at LittleRegret265 if you want to see more racing action. And if you want to be notified of any further content on the channel, don't forget to subscribe and check that bell icon. Until next time, I hope you stay safe, live well, and get some good, clean racing going on the track. Bye for now.